What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome to the All Around. I'm your gracious host, Dr. Anthony. Please tune in on Mondays at 6 p.m. for your entertainment purposes. We will hit current topics, old topics, and everything else in between. Be there or be square. Deuces, my loves. Hi, welcome to another great episode of the All Around. I am your gracious host, Dr. Anthony, and I am sorry to inform you that Miss Ida will not be in the house tonight. She is currently occupied, but hopefully we'll have her here next week, and hopefully we'll have a guest, the awesome Mr. Sean Skinner, to talk about her sex topics, and so you guys will get a chance to interact with her, ask questions, and listen to some interesting things about pleasing your mate. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and bring out my producer, Mark Lee, and we're going to go ahead and get these conversations going on. Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good. First off, you got to find a mate before you can have those serious conversations. I'm still out there in the 60s realm looking for that significant other, and all along those lines, they can be somewhere in that 40, 50, 60 age range themselves. I don't know about 30s. That might be a little bit too young and everything around those natures. But I do have to ask you a teasing question about education. And I just wanted to know if you had ever thought about giving a pet a graduation, because one of the stories that I saw was that apparently in Colombia, there's a cat that was a stray cat. And I know you're not the biggest animal person in the world, but apparently it became like the darling of that particular school in Colombia, I believe the country of Colombia. So they gave it a graduation, even though it slept. And that was part of the joke, was it slept through most of the school year, but it managed to graduate, even though it had slept through most of the school year and all along those lines. So I just didn't know if there was any time that you as a teacher would be bold enough to have a turtle or something else get a degree, since apparently this cat got a degree.
Logging on now. I'm just going to put it to you like this. I think the people are being insane with the pets and thinking that they're human and things like that. These are pets. I'm not, down with the, all that nonsense that they're doing with the pets, graduation, birthday parties and all that. I understand that you love your pet, but that's your pet. And, I don't have to deal with the foolishness with your pet, because I'm not going to deal with the foolishness with your pet. I mean, I was struggling when I was in Milan and things like that, because everybody and their mama has a damn pet. So everywhere I turned around, somebody had a pet. So it impaired my breathing. It messed with my eyes. My eyes were swollen. My throat was irritated. And everybody, not only did they have a pet, they also smoked. So, everybody is not pet people. Everybody doesn't like to be around your pet. And I understand that when you're in your house, that's your pet house. That's why I rarely visit people who have pets, because I know that I have allergic reactions. I'm severely, highly allergic to the pets. And so, I'm not trying to infringe upon your pet and things like that. So that's why I just tend to stay away from the pets. But having
but along the same lines, I'm sitting there going like, and I've had some pets, both cats and dogs, don't have any at the current moment, don't even have a fish or turtle or anything else in the house that fits in that pet category. But I do see some people that literally, they give their cats and dogs, they put them on coats and sweaters and stuff like that. And I'm going like, that's not like.
I'm just like, whatever makes your boat float is good with me. I'm not a pet person. And I let people know that I'm not a pet person. I'm not doing all that stuff. I mean, I had pets before? Yes, I had pets. And but they never were on the inside. So, like I said, I'm highly allergic to them. So I can't be around them, like talking about. One walked by me on a plane once and my eyes instantly started swelling up and things like that. And people are like, they're not sensitive to people who are actually allergic and have allergies to pets or whatever. All they're worried about is they want their freaking dog on the flight, or they want their dog at a restaurant, or, things like that. So I just believe, for those pet people, there should be restaurants that cater to, those pet people, where if I'm out, I don't have to deal with it, and I don't have to, be around, the pets, because I had to go to the I almost had to go to the emergency room, but I did have to go to the the allergy specialist the next day. Um, I just, me personally, I can't handle the pets. I get seriously sick, and I mean, even when I'm dating or start, before I met my boyfriend or whatever, um, I'm just like, look, I can't do the pets. I'm sorry,
No, I
you know.
understand. That makes a lot of sense. Speaking of boyfriends and girlfriends and all of that kind of stuff, apparently there is a new, not that old trend, and maybe this guest that you're going to bring on can talk about this, but apparently a lot of people are liking to stay together for a long period of time without necessarily being in the same house and having their own space and all along those lines. Because apparently there's a couple that had been together for 12 years. Both of them were had their own notoriety and all in that space, but they decided to split after they had been together for more than 10 years and all in that space. So apparently Deion Sanders and Tracy Edmonds have called off their engagement after they had been together for 10 years or something along those lines. So I know
Yeah.
you thought about this power couple that had been together and have been living together for a lot of times. And by the way, Miss Ida has joined us, and maybe she's got some thoughts around this as well and everything. So,
Hello,
hey there.
people. I need my light. Oh, I gotta get my light down. Look so black light, but oh well, it's okay.
Hi, honey. I
Sweet
told the people that you weren't going to be on the show today. I was like, she's
yeah,
busy.
girl. I was
I'm
laying up
sorry.
in
I'm glad you're here.
my bed 5 4. I said, yeah, are we having this show? Cause you didn't start doing me like I'm at job. Okay, bitch, are you coming? Yeah, I'm
She
coming.
I
she's
understand.
here.
I
She's
understand.
here. She's all okay.
I'm so glad to see you. I haven't seen you in forever, and
Yeah,
we haven't talked.
girl, I done lost weight. I done got myself together. Look, I done lost me 22 pounds.
What did you do to lose 22 pounds? I'm loving it. You look
Look
amazing.
at there. Look at there.
You look amazing with your little petite self.
I'm getting ready to
She's
start.
doing the petite thing and everything. Was that some of that North Carolina cooking? Because maybe you came down
No,
there one to do it.
child, they were trying to give me that slave food when I went down there Thanksgiving eating chitlin. I'm like, I have never ate chitlin. I cleaned chitlins one time, and you couldn't make me eat it no more. She said, they said, girl, you been looking a little like the white folks and stuff. I said, no, I gotta get my body back. I ain't trying to buy no new clothes. But let's get to the show so we can talk smack and do what we do, and I can catch up and talk about is
Well,
old
like
old.
I said, that's the first thing that I brought up was, there's this person that had gone to an HBCU where he had all kinds of notoriety and was having success at our HBCUs. Then he went to Colorado where he's not having that much success. And apparently he was engaged to Tracy Edmonds. And apparently they're like, hey, it's a
You
prime
talking about
time
Deion
fit.
Sanders?
Yeah, Deion Sanders.
Yeah, everybody breaking up. Like we'll talk about, Ti. Sometimes I can't tell what mode T is in, depending on the conversation. Um, that's why there's no such thing. I came to the conclusion there's no things as relationship goals. So many people done broke up. Shoot. We didn't find out our grandparents probably didn't want to stay together, but hell, we're cheaper to keep her. So, I think, well, we could talk about it with the people. Let me see if I can get my light skin and light while y'all fooling around. Okay. Let's get
I
with it.
mean,
We
I
ready.
think I think their relationship goals. I don't think Dion and Tracy Edmonds would be considered a relationship goal. That's something that somebody would strive to, unless
There
they want
you
this.
go, ready to be messy. There
No,
you
unless they
go.
want that type of relationship. But I'm just saying, if you're engaged for 12 years, you're not gonna get married. Because my thing is, you know right off the break if you want to marry that person.
My
Within
sister,
the first 1 to 6 months or whatever, if you're gonna marry that person or whatever, those long engagements typically do not lead to marriage. And my thing is, it's best that you break up now before you even get like funding and money tied up, and going through a messy divorce and things like that or whatever. But at the same time, people are in relationships for the wrong reasons. They like Samoa said, the comedian Samoa, you see everybody walking around and riding the rides and they getting the candy, and she made the analogy about the amusement park, and then you see the people with the big old teddy bears. Now you want to go get you a big teddy bear, so you playing the game, and you done got your big teddy bear. Now you can't ride the rides no more. So
oh,
with this being said, you know
hmm
just because something looks good from the outside, and when you jump
Mhm.
that fence, the grass may not be greener on the other side. So you're
Mhm.
wanting what that person has, but that may not be for you. You have to understand what's for you. And a lot of times people are always like, Dr. Anthony, why you not married? Boy, I'm not married because I could have been married a long time ago. I've been proposed to multiple times, a lot of times actually. You know what I'm saying? But when marriage is a commitment, and marriage is a process, and once I get married, I'm not getting divorced. So I'm just not going to get married just to say that I'm married, or just to say that I'm in a relationship. This is something that that I want. We have to be equally compatible, equally yoked, and things like that, because I'm only doing it once, and that's
Yeah,
it.
Dr. Anthony, along those lines, and I kind of alluded to it earlier, but I'd love to hear from both you and Ida. I've said it on this show, and I've said it again, and I don't think that it's hidden knowledge, but my dad has been together with his girlfriend longer than he was together with my mom and everything, but they
Mhm.
are very comfortable having separate houses and separate places and all in that space. Like I said, dad's got his property, she's got her property, and they are very happy with that relationship. And I think there are a number of people that are in those kind of situations.
Mhm.
So, and even people that live together. I've heard people living together and they literally got
Yeah.
my room, this room, that room, the common room, whatever the rooms are, and everything. So, how much of this space conversation is a real conversation? 'Cause I hear a lot of
It
people
is
talking
a
about
real conversation because I'm a Taurus, and I love my space. Like, I
Mhm.
don't like people every day. And I
Mhm.
tell people that all the time. I really don't like people every day. So, I'm very moody. I have mood swings and things like that. When I want to talk to you, I want to talk to you. When I don't want to talk to you, I don't want to talk to you. And if I'm upset with you, I'm just upset with you. And I say crazy things. And then, 5 minutes later, I'll be like, okay, well, let's go get something to eat. And then the person looking at me all sideways, like, you crazy. You know what I'm saying? Didn't you just go off on me a second ago? Now you want to go get something to eat? But that's that Taurus. So I'm good with, being in a relationship and being away from the significant other. But some people are not like that. Some people want to be up under their significant other. They want them in the same household. Hey, like I said, I'm a Taurus. I need my space. It's not that I'm seeing somebody else or whatever. I need my space. I need my me time. And if I don't get my me time, I turn into a very mean and nasty person. So
it.
I can understand the whole dichotomy of them being in separate households and having their own space, because maybe if they join and become one in one household, it's not going to work.
That's
And
okay.
I agree with that. I have I have 12 siblings, and I'm the only one not married. And I have seen marriage at different. My one of my friends said, marriage, your marriage is either lust, dust, or rust. And I have seen some of my siblings now, they're in double digits. Some of them married their high school, college, sweet military. And so they're now 20 plus in the game. One is 30 years in the game. And my sister and her significant other, they've been engaged for 20 years. We knew they weren't going to get married because she said she never wanted to get married, but she wanted a ring. And so I have seen, that's why we're not shocked about Will Smith and other couples, because we know non-celebrities that have lived certain lifestyle. And I think, to me, I think it's we're the only one that feeds into the concept of being in love. I think it's a Western civilization things. Some of my friends from other culture, they will be together, for financial reasons, stability and respect. And I'm like Dr. I have been I call myself the woman at the wheel. I've been engaged a couple of times, and I have ended relationship for a variety of reasons. And later on, I would say I felt like I dodged a bullet. You know how people always said, I had two of my ex boyfriends look me up from 20 years ago. One looked me up a couple of years ago in COVID, and one looked me up and they swore I was the one that got away. I had not given no Negroes no more thought and when they came and found me, ego, like, oh my God, this dude. And he said, nobody never made me feel the way, and you such and such. And when Libras, like the horoscope, We all have our personalities that we like to. I used to be what I call the love bomb. I like the concept of being in love, but I didn't want the longevity of a relationship. So I could come and go in and out of a relationship, be cool with it. And now when I look at some of my family members and friends who have 10 toes down in it, they all come to me and say, girl, you got the sweetest deal. You live by
See,
yourself, you ain't got to put up with nobody. And they be saying crazy stuff like, when this Negro, this person died, I ain't never getting married, you know. And so now, even though I have not been married, I have my ministerial license. I have did premarital counseling for people. And I notice people at different financial stage look at relationship differently. Like we look at Jenny Ma and Jeezy. When you have something to lose, you have houses, you have certain things. You do love is really the secondary issue of a marriage.
mhm,
I look at Dr. A and I. We don't have any biological kids, but we have nieces and nephews that we call like our children. So if somebody came in my space now and I have already wrote a trust and a will and I have already delegated, that's a hard conversation sometimes for people to navigate.
Mhm.
Because at this stage,
hey,
I keep seeing people want a nurse or a purse. You either meet a brother,
mhm,
he was out on the street, he never got himself together. You got yourself together. They call it a hospice wife. Now you want somebody to already had it together, so to take care, or the plumbing's messed up, and now you got all the health problems. I used to call I went on some dating site a couple of years ago, and the guy, and so I go through the ABCs of what's wrong with you, Negro. I said, "Are you on birth control pills?" I said, "Are you on BC?" He said, "I'm not on birth control." I said, "Blood pressure, cholesterol, ED. You know what ED is? Do you got G? Do you got gout? Do you have D? Do you have diabetes?" And I went to my class reunion. I always had a thing for me. No, you didn't, Negro. You ain't paid me no mind. I was a nerd. I was a geek. You won't coming for me. You look like Fat Albert now. Is that you out? Is that you? Who that hoppo? And so, like you said, people outgrow each other. I
yeah,
was
people definitely outgrow each other. And one of the things that you said, well, a couple of things you said that were interesting. One, I was talking to a good friend of mine. We actually are co-workers and all along those lines. And they were actually saying about how if they ever got divorced and they have not been divorced, they've been with their husband who is a former athlete from UNC for
Mhm.
decades, that they would never re engage or get with somebody else. They might have like some relations, but not a permanent one in all that space.
So two of my divorced friends, two are widows, and they said they just will have companions. They said I have no interest on being married. I don't want to live in the same house. And and it is something to be on that did that done that list, about certain things. And I think you should be Mike Basil, I loved him back in the day. He used to say, why people lie? If you don't want to get married, you don't want children, you want to be in the street. Why lie to a person? Why let a person begin to engage you? And as a matter of fact, they was talking about the Golden Bachelor, find out the nigga's a con artist. He made up
Well,
the whole thing.
I
His
mean, the whole thing, I did not hear that. That's news to me,
yeah,
but that's news.
I wasn't for sure. And then, P Diddy, oh my God, he worked in Art Kelly. So I don't know what y'all been talking about the last couple of weeks.
No, we
Um,
talked about a couple of different things, but I'm
and
glad we're
Will
bringing this
Smith,
up.
his assistant saying they called him and Dwayne Martin, but that's been a rumor for 30 years. And now Will said he's suing people. He didn't say Jada, but Jada done dragged him again in her book, said he had a little pee-pee in the book. So,
Hey,
I
you
mean,
know,
but and the thing about it is, when people start talking about their spouse and what happens in the bedroom, I just lose all respect for that person, because my thing is, whatever goes on in your bedroom should stay in your bedroom. Nobody else needs to know about it. You're not getting any clout. You're not getting any notoriety. You're not getting anything by dragging this man and talking about
but she ain't been in her bed in 7 years. Maybe that's
you
why
know
she might.
I'm just saying, she's not, and if that's the case, then leave. You know what I'm saying? If he's not pleasing you, leave or whatever.
Isn't
But
that all they vow they'll never get divorced? They said they will never divorce each other. She constantly humiliate him. And so I think that's the most unicorn thing I have heard in 2023 that makes no sense. Why would you subject yourself to this to be married?
you know, And that's the thing or whatever, unless it's, like financial stakes, like you said, or whatever. But my thing is, don't stay somewhere where you're unhappy. And then, why you got to bash the other person? Just like, I always talk about how black men bash black women when they want to date outside their race. If you just want to date, just go ahead and say, I want to date. You don't have to bash the other person and be like, well, I'm dating because of this, I'm dating because of that. No, I'm dating because I want to date. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to throw you under the bus because that's what something I want to do. I want to date. That's
Passport
just
brothers.
honest with it. You know what I'm saying? But
Passport.
yeah, you have to
Brothers.
circumvent. Yeah, you have to circumvent the process. Well, I'm dating this Asian woman because black women are loud. I'm dating this white woman because black women are not docile. I'm dating this
Yeah, I've
Latina
heard that
woman
message
because black
and
women
that
are this,
craziness.
black women are that.
Mhm.
No,
It's,
we're not, and we can be. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, date who you want to date. You know what I'm saying? Because 9 times out of 10, you probably went for a black woman and we rejected your ass. That's why you going for somebody else, and now you trying to badmouth us and bash us because we didn't want to put up with your bullshit.
hey,
So
speaking of Dr. Anthony, speaking of bullshit, and I think that this is some total BS and all that space, but I'd love to hear you two ladies' thoughts about this. But apparently, there is a Jewish woman, actor Juliana Margulies, who has asserted that African American or black people should be completely supporting Israel, but have been brainwashed. In her words, not mine, to hate Jews and all in that space. So that's something that she said right before Thanksgiving during an episode of The Back Room with Andy Ostroy. So it's a podcast that's supposed to be about politics and pop culture, but she's over there trying to claim that it should be mandatory. As a matter of fact, she said it should be mandatory watching, especially for the black community, if I may, because Hitler got his entire playbook from the Jim Crow South. So she's actually saying that we should be watching the U.S. and the Holocaust, which is a 22 documentary by Ken Burns and everything. So I just wondering y'all's thoughts about somebody that's trying to say how we should feel about a certain conflict that is going on in there.
first of
In
all, let me tell the little white woman who is Jewish. You know
Lord.
what I'm saying? Don't tell us how we should think and how we should feel and what we should do and things like that. That's between you and them. You know what I'm saying? When we were over here and we still being over here shut down in the street and can't walk out and can't go to stores like you do, and y'all sit there and say nothing and y'all badmouth black people, we gonna let y'all make it and we gonna let y'all have it. Because what we don't want is the bullshit. And what she's spewing is the bullshit. That's what we don't want. You know what I'm saying? You want us to join forces with you to hate another person, and that's the thing, those type of people that kind always want us, blacks to, just, oh, we gonna step and fetch a massa. We gonna do this because you said we gonna do this and we gonna do that, a massa. We ain't doing a goddamn thing. You know what I'm saying? So if that's what y'all want to do, that's what y'all want to do. But we don't have to support what you believe in. And I was thinking, earlier, along that line with white folks trying to tell black people what to do. Remember the Natalie Holloway story when the girl went to Aruba and she came up missing and things like that, and then they were going to tell everybody, oh, don't go to Aruba, boycott Aruba, don't do this. I'm not boycotting nothing. You should have taught your daughter better. You should have taught your daughter not to be hot in the goddamn pants and go after some damn free, whatever over there, and maybe she would still be here, but I'm not boycotting anything because you want me to boycott. No, I'm not doing that, because my thing is, y'all always want black people to jump on the bandwagon and support whatever the hell y'all got going on, but we can't even band together and support each other. Y'all got a problem with that. We can't even have safe spaces where we can go and we can talk. We can't even have places where we can go shop without being harassed by your ass. We had the black girl follow train. Y'all got mad because your asses wasn't included in the black girl follow train. Now you talking about it should be mandatory that we sit and we watch and we support Israel. We're not supporting anything. What about when all the black people was killed in the Holocaust over there? Y'all don't talk about that. It wasn't just Jews that was killed. It was black people that was killed too. What about the millions and millions of Africans that were taken and were killed in the diaspora in the slave trade? Y'all don't talk about that. So guess what? I'm not supporting anything that you got going on. That's why, Mark, when I told you the last time, I was like, I don't have no comment on it. I'm not supporting anything because even the people in Palestine and Gaza or whatever, although that they're being bombed and they're being treated a certain type of way, your asses are still racist towards black people. So guess what? Deal with it.
Miss Ida, what you got to say about that? Because by the way, they had another beautiful quote that I'm being sarcastic when I call it beautiful, but they said, "Where's the history lesson in that? Who's teaching these kids?" She asked, because the fact that the entire black community isn't standing with us, to me, either says they just don't know or they've been brainwashed to hate Jews. But when you've been marginalized as so much as a community, the way I feel we have, isn't that when you step up? So she had this country would be in an uproar if bus drivers had walked out standing about 900 area people from a Detroit area Jewish group who were trying to attend a march for Israel in Washington, D.C. last month. But because that happened, it happened to the Jews, for some reason, it's laughable, she said. But that's what she claims and all in that space. But yeah, I
And
don't know.
again, because it's happening to y'all now. Now it's a problem. You know what I'm saying? But it wasn't a problem when we getting gunned down in the streets. It's not a problem when we get shot in stores just for trying to shop. It's not a problem when we get arrested just for going into a place. It's not a problem when we can't get service, just because of the color of our skin. So now you want us to band together and step up with your ass? No, we're not banding together and doing nothing. We're gonna sit back and watch this show. You know what I'm saying? Just like we told the white women, this is not our fight. So we're not banding together and we're not doing anything. Have at it. We gonna holler at you. We'll see you when it's over.
Yeah, I had to say, also mentioned apparently a screening of a black lesbian film on campus at a Columbia University in October. Apparently, the message with the flyer read that Zionists aren't invited. Well, doubling down on her message, the organizers of the event told the New York Post that it did not mean all Jewish people were disinvited, thinking it just meant those that are practicing Zionism and everything. But definitely it's craziness.
Go ahead, Ida.
Thank you. Woo. I think, like you said, what is that? It's not my battle, not my fight, or
Right.
something is that. And when I look at these issues, when the global issues, we always we want to make Black people inclusive in global issues, but everyday grassroots ongoing issues. No, no, ma'am, no, sir. And so as I agree, which isn't often, I agree with Dr. A on some of her points.
Mhm.
I think when people think of these things, we got to find a hero out of it. See, Black issues is never one here, any hero. The closest hero we had was assassinated, MLK. And so when we think of the ongoing Black issue, and Israel has an ongoing biblical, political issue, global issue, it's very hard for you to entangle a person, a minority, in that level of discussion. The closest we get to that, we actually see a lot of movement on that on the college campus with anti-Semitic and what's the other about the Palestine and
Yeah,
these young people.
Islamophobia.
And they're saying this is my First Amendment right. And so once again, when you go on the college campus, we see what is being taught to our young people when the uprise starts actually on the college campus. When you look at a lot of the young people, they get in an uproar, and sometimes we might say they're brainwashed. But at this stage, we who have lived life, we would say that I would kick the can back to her. Well, where were you doing the George Floyd? Where were you doing our Black issue? And where did you have, I stand with Ahmaud, I stand with such and such, I stand. And so Black people, we are at times the dodo bird of the world. We
Speaking,
find things, we support things in situations that we don't win. And we have seen in our own culture, we have people that don't claim us until something goes wrong, and they come to the community and they want the support and fall behind us. And so this generation and this sector of life where we don't get fall for the race card as much as we used to. We
but
don't
speaking of the
feel
race card, yeah,
we don't
speaking of
feel
the
like
race
we
card,
are praised.
apparently,
Huh?
I'm saying, speaking of the race card, apparently it's been played in another conversation as well, which I had not heard about until I was looking up things for us to talk about on Dr. Anthony's show and everything. But apparently there is an article that came out, I guess, in NBC that Black survivors are nearly invisible in the U.S. Catholic Church's sexual abuse crisis. So they are acknowledging that it is a problem, but they're saying that Black survivors are they have been nearly invisible in the Catholic Church sexual abuse crisis, even in Baltimore, which is home to the historic Black Catholic community that plays an integral role in the nation's oldest archdiocese and
Mhm.
everything. So apparently, the U.S. Catholic Church generally does not publicly track the race or ethnicity of clergy abuse victims. And without that data, the full scope of clergy sex abuse and its effects on communities of color is unknown. But Reverend Brian Massengill, a Black Catholic priest and Fordham University professor, said persons of color have suffered a long legacy of neglect and marginalization in the Catholic Church. We need to correct the idea that all or most victims of this abuse have been white and male. So apparently, he's saying that there are some of those folks that are of color that have been getting abused in this whole Catholic abuse as well. But apparently, it's not something that is reported or talked about even among the Catholic Church. In Europe, there and around the DC area, if I remember correctly, Dr. Anthony, I think you've been up there as well. So, any thoughts around this? Because there are sometimes that things are underreported, and apparently, this is a case in point.
Don't have to surprise me about them Catholics. You know what I'm saying? This abuse is not new. It's been going on for some time now, but what they were trying to do, they were trying to cover it up. And so, along with, 9/11 and everything else that Black people were involved in, they want to erase the fact that Black people were abused. They want to take, things away from Black people and not give and not acknowledge, them as the victim. So it's no surprise there. It's done across the board. The whole thing about the one of the 9/11 stories, it was a Black man, but they portrayed him as a white man so that he could be portrayed as a hero. So when it comes to those people and what they do, nothing surprised me. Because these people are some of the most evil and some of the worst people there are on the face of the earth. But they walk around and they try to judge us and put us in a place and put us in a put themselves on a pedestal and put us as we're being inferior and things like that or whatever. But they're the most barbaric, most sexist, most craziest persons there is. And if you study Catholicism, and if you study religion, you will see that a lot of this stuff has been going on since the beginning of time, and for forever and a day or whatever. Because to be honest with you, according to their doctrine, priests are supposed to be virgins, nuns are supposed to be virgins. But they had a story out where the priests were sleeping with the nuns, and the babies were buried in the walls in the churches along the East Coast and things like that or whatever. So like I said, nothing surprised me about these people.
Yeah, nothing surprises about what's going on with these folks and everything along those lines. But speaking of which, and I know it's been another conversation that is taking place around a lot of issues. There are folks that are going to not the HBCUs, but the PWIs. And one of the other articles that I saw was apparently there is a debate going among the Black Ivy League students because they want some greater representation on campus. So definitely that is something else that I saw. Was there was a couple of students, including one that was a junior at one of these Ivy League schools, saying the descendants of slavery on campus are woefully underrepresented, and all along those lines. So Michelle Glavin was that student's name, and they are at Harvard. And then they're saying that Black and Latino students have long been underrepresented on Ivy League campuses as a whole, even when those colleges practiced race conscious admissions. So, back in June, Supreme Court struck down affirmative action programs at both Harvard and right around the corner from me at UNC, effectively ending the systematic consideration of race in the admission process. But definitely experts are sounding the alarm that enrollment at elite colleges could drop for Black and Latino students, and African American students are at Ivy League schools are concerned about a more nuanced shift. Admission officers may be missing or ignoring the difference between descendants of enslaved people whose families have faced centuries of educational and economic racial disparity, and Black immigrant families who still face racism but are less likely to be tied to generational economic hurdles that can make elite education unattainable. So should we be even concerned about what's going on in these PWIs and everything? Because Aisha Ali, sophomore at the University of Pennsylvania, that the Black population on campus is already so small, but the African American population is even smaller. So They're actually
Well, I
complaining
mean,
that.
the thing about it is, the Asians partner with the white people saying that, black people were given opportunities that should have gone to somebody else and, things like that or whatever. So that's why they wanted to get rid of affirmative action. And Clarence Thomas was one of the strong proponents of getting rid of of affirmative action, although he went to school under affirmative action. And it wasn't like, they're getting, the bottom of the barrel. You're getting the creme de la creme. The show, the host, the black host on CNN, she was a recipient of affirmative action and things like that. And it's not like they didn't have the grades to support their intellect and things like that. And it's not like that they were getting the bottom of the barrel students. They were getting the creme de la creme. They were getting top-notch students that could perform and handle themselves on an Ivy League campus. But see, the problem is the fact that these white women who were the biggest beneficiaries of affirmative action want to say that Black people are taking spots that should have gone to them. They are always known for mediocrity and doing less than or whatever, and wanting to just basically slip through the cracks. And so they're the ones that's gonna suffer the most, because we have proven time after time that we are intellectually astute, and we can handle ourselves in an intellectual place and an intellectual manner. So no matter if they have affirmative action or not, we still have the intellect, and we still have the know-how and the brains to survive and be in a PWI. I mean, I graduated from a PWI, undergrad and master's. I started school at a HBCU when I was in high school. I started at Southern University in Baton Rouge. I graduated with my doctorate degree at Prairie View A&M University. I went to Texas A&M. Southern Methodist University. So it's not like, I'm at a standstill where I can't function at a PWI and I can't function at a HBCU or whatever. But again, we have the intellect and we have the know-how. It's not like you're hurting anything. The only people that's going to really be hurting the most is the white women, because they were the biggest beneficiaries of affirmative action anyway. And then, like I said, they got these Asian people on the bandwagon of saying that, we're taking slots from them, when in actuality is the white women that are taking slots from you. We're not taking anything from you. But like I said, they want to take these things away from us, but we can still stand on our own, and we still have our universities and our colleges that we can go to and we can attend, and we can still we can still produce, because at the end of the day, Harry is one, Xavier is one that produces a lot of Black doctors, because the white institutions purposely was racist against Black students, and did not produce a lot of doctors, psychologists, and psychiatrists, and things of that nature. So it's not like anything has changed. We're just battling a different battle. The only thing that has evolved is technology. The racism is still there. The bullshit is still there. White women being mediocre are still there. And as a Black woman, we have to be 110 times better than what she is, just to get a mediocre job, just to get a menial job. But she can be mediocre and come out on top, come out smelling like a rose. So like I said, it is what it is.
Yeah, but along those same lines, and I think that's part of what the article is talking about, is what are our thoughts about how a number of the students that are even part of the pool that are going to these Ivy League schools, apparently 7% of all Ivy League undergraduates are African American and everything. But there was a 2007 study, and I know that was some time ago and everything, that talked about that 41% of Black students at the 4 Ivy League colleges surveyed, Columbia, Yale, Princeton, and Penn, were children of foreign-born parents, hailing primarily from sub-Saharan Africa and the Caribbean nations. So it does seem like that is what they were complaining about, that there might be some racism even among our own folks, whether it's Africans versus African Americans and all along those lines. That's one of y'all.
Oh, definitely. I mean, because the presidential, one of the presidential candidates, Vivek Ramaswamy, or whatever the hell his last name is, he was a recipient of affirmative action, and he basically said that he wants to get rid of those social programs and things like that. Although it benefited him and getting where he is and helping him make the money that he makes, he still want to get rid of those programs, just like Clarence Thomas and other people that went through those programs, who were coming from poor poor families, low socioeconomic status families and things like that. Although they benefited from it, they don't want anybody else to benefit from it. And even in the Clarence Thomas story, when they talk about, these Ivy League schools and these social programs such as, affirmative action, he turned his nose down because he felt that, they thought that he was less than, although, he was a great student or whatever, but he felt that, the program caused, shame and harm and, this is that and other. And he was one of the ones that shut down a lot of things that went to the Supreme Court that was, against affirmative action, students, with the student loans and things like that or whatever. So, and like we had the conversation, for the life of me, I don't understand why people vote Republican.
No, I don't get it either, but they want to do that for some reason.
I
It
don't
doesn't make
understand.
any sense. But one of the things that this article was talking about was apparently the data from the U.S. Census showed that in 2019, 30% of Black immigrants above the age of 25 had a college degree, and compared with 21% of U.S.-born African American residents, and the gap increased for certain subgroups of African American or Black immigrants. For example, 64% of Nigerian-born immigrants had a college degree in 2019. Hey, Ida, since you are among many skills you have, you're also a stand-up comedian and all along those lines. I will tell you that I learned this during the Thanksgiving weekend and everything. My brother has a nickname for Vivek Ramaswamy. He calls him Beatbox Ramaswamy. So I thought that you might enjoy that because of the way he speaks
Oh,
and everything else. So he's known as Beatbox Ramaswamy, according to my brother and everything. So that's his
okay.
nickname.
Well, Dave Chappelle also was in a scandal last weekend. He appeared into some photo op, and he's being dragged on the internet, and he was saying that the person tricked him, whoever this white Republican tricked him into taking this photograph. And Dave also actually, like we talk about. A lot of these conversations, like you said, is about being politically correct and who are you when nobody's watching. We have always had a certain percentile of minorities and black that say, I'm not your brother's keeper. As a matter of fact, now that you let me through, I vow to not to let anybody else through because that's how they have always thought, and that's their. And so when you think of Clarence Thomas and you're thinking of people in the highest ranking position that a person can have, and they're a person of color, they're always letting you know, nope, I'm not your brother's keeper. I wanted that to benefit me, and I went through that door. But I'm not interested in other people. And as a matter of fact, I was listening to an article today, and they said the threat is always the black woman, not actually the black man. They have been tracking the data of black female executives in America and how it was an uprise after the death of George Floyd. And I had several black female executives, and I said to them, "You got a small window when it's going to close, and they're not going to start promoting y'all again. They're going to get tired of the D&I, diversity, such and such an inclusion, and they are going to start pushing back from there." And they have now started tracking, and they said it's since 2022 they're still promoting the black male executive at almost a similar rate as our white counterpart. But once again, the black female executive in corporate America have now become stagnant. And so I was, like I said, I work for two black female the most. At one point, they were the most educated people in the company, but couldn't get promoted. And I would say to them, now, is this trying to be some Harriet Tubman thing, or you trying to open the door? And my logic, why sit where you're not wanted? And they eventually went and started their own company. They went on to companies. One is a VP, one is a CEO. But I always say, from my standpoint, from a black woman, quite often black American globally don't have an issue with black men. They really have an issue with black women. It's something about us having a lot. You think about that female justice that all she had to do to get confirmed and all of that, and and even though it's known that black women, we have been the gut and the backbone of America. Today I watched a video, and they had a black nanny. going back to her country, maybe for the holiday, and she was a nanny to four white kids, and the kids was sobbing hysterically because she was leaving. And and I always go for the comments. I go straight into the comments, and like they was latching on her, almost like it reminds you of like the slave when the master made you feed their children, and they could not be consoled. It was four little white kids, and maybe from 8 all the way down to 2 years old. And she had afforded them the opportunity because how she took care of their kids to continue to have, and and you could see the look on the mother and father face. They were like, "We're your mother and father," and these kids was not having it.
Mhm.
And she, what do they call that program when they bring you to the United States to be someone nanny? It's not
Au pair.
a pair. And so it gives a profound illustration once again of black woman in America. Because really when you think of black America, you think of black men, but really when you think of, no offense to you, Mark, quite often the black woman won't sell out quicker than a black man. So white America is always concerned about how we are going to perform. And when you think of the NAACP and all these organizations, and why the feminine movement needed the black women, but we realized the feminine movement really wasn't helping us. And so, like you said, when you have these conversations around education, politics, I always say you could put 12 black people in the room, educated, uneducated, and maybe Dr. A and I and maybe three of the 12 are really concerned about our issues. And I think
Mhm.
sometimes our issues are daunting and they're just overwhelming. So people say, let me just listen to Kanye, let me listen to Kirk Franklin and check out, because these conversations that we have are uncomfortable. But I always be I walk away saying, but where are we taking roots? What are we going to be able to do? And when you get into these conversations, um, black people rather participate in more religious aspect than aspect that will affect them financially and educational. So I think after a while, you just become tired. You hear, you get, see, Dr. A is like the female version. What is that guy? Dr. Ooh,
Umar.
yeah. And so, um, her voice would have been more prominent and profound in the 80s. When you remember Public Enemy and when the black movement really was beginning to take off again, and people were like would support her behind closed door, might throw some money, but when they said, "Now I ain't going out in public with you because you be saying some wild stuff." But she has data, she have research, and so you are genuinely concerned about the state of Black America.
I would definitely agree with that. Dr. A is very concerned and all in that space. And actually, one of the other shows that is here, Dream Stops, and that's run by Miss Green, Shanice Green. She actually had a education advocate, a sister, and she's actually trying to get together a number of sisters from around the country to have these kind of dialogues on a regular basis and all along those lines. So she's been involved in restorative justice, and that's why she was brought on this show and all that was held yesterday. So definitely she's in that space of talking about restorative justice and getting out of this school to prison pipeline and a number of other issues. So I do agree that those conversations have to take place. Hey, Dr. A and Ida, one of the things as we are talking about things that have gone on, I did see some good news that came from the world, even though it was a sad reason that it took place. But apparently, one of the schools has been called out after a racist shooting that took place, and that had took place earlier today. So, family members of the three African American individuals that were fatally shot at that Dollar General store in North Florida by a racist gunman have sued the store's owner, operator, and security contractor for negligence, claiming lack security led to their loved one's death. So, and there have been other things that have gone on. They apparently that gunman had attempted to enter another store and also gone on the campus of, I believe it was FAMU, who y'all mentioned earlier, but it was definitely the campus of a historically black college, but was stopped by the presence of security guards at both places. But that isn't what happened at that particular Dollar General, which is why the lawsuit was filed earlier today on behalf of the families of Angela Carr, Gerald Gallion, and AJ Laguerre, who were the victims of said attack and everything. So, what is y'all's thoughts around this notion of holding the stores accountable as well?
I mean, that's a little touchy, you know what I'm saying? Because the store didn't make you go to the store, you know what I'm saying? And uh, I, honestly, I'm not sure because it's very touchy because all stores don't have security. And things of that nature. I've been in Dollar Generals, I've been in Family Dollars, and I just go in. There is no security, and sometimes depending on where you are, there's no security at Walmart. So, I mean, I understand that they lost loved ones, and I get it. I understand that they're hurt, but I don't understand how the store is liable or whatever.
Well, also, I know when people ain't gonna get money when that black lawyer don't show up. What is his name?
Benjamin Crump.
Yeah, yeah. And unfortunately, when we die now, we want reparation, and sometimes it's no reparation to be given when you're dealing with corporations and different stuff. And I see how soft you went with that. I can never tell how she's gonna come up the gate on me. Um, and like I said, after George Floyd, the young man that got convicted, he was attacked in prison last week. It was all on the news and different stuff. I'm surprised
Yeah,
he
we
survived.
talked about that Derek Chauvin.
I'm surprised he have survived as long as he have at this point anyway. Um, and I think once coming back to what I said, black people, we have been victimized and traumatized by America. We've been traumatized by our county, our government, our banks, our employer. So when things go wrong, I think we have been trained to just walk away, put on our big girl panty, be blah blah blah. Or now that we see that it is an opportunity, I think we don't know how to capitalize. Even if they gave them a couple of dollars to go away, you can't bring back their lives. And somebody got to be accountable for what a person need to be accountable is the shooter. Go after his livelihood, go after his bank, go after his family. And I think if my family member was wrongly assassinated, poor thing, you got jet lag. She holding on real good. Because you'll be real savage otherwise. I'm lovely. Her eyes are very heavy. We should go with her, Mark, because she tired. She want to do more, but she like you. Just thank you, Odd, for being here.
9 minutes.
And I, my friends, what is she tired, Mark? Mark, you should get some more incredible. So, because she wants to go in, but she just, I'm tired. I'm tired.
Well, not on this, not on that one. I don't want to go in, but I just don't think that they're going to have a lawsuit or whatever, because it's going to be kind of hard to prove negligence. And with any case, you have to prove that.
Who's the shooter? Why can't they?
Right.
That's a civil
What I'm
right.
saying? They should be able to sue the shooter, in a civil. I mean, the family of the shooter or whatever, because that's where it stems from. It stems from the white mothers, lack of, taking care of their children and things like that. Because, anytime that they want to talk about the black community, they always come for the black mothers and saying how we're not raising our children. Well, they're not raising their children.
Apparently, I'm not going to totally defend this situation, but apparently in this case, the parents in this case had actually warned the folks of what was going on, because apparently this gentleman, Mr. Palmetter, made clear in his writings that he hated black people. During the attack, he texted his father and told him to break into his room and check his computer. There, the father found the note and the writings. The family notified authorities, but then the shooting had already begun. So apparently he'd been involved in a 2016 domestic violence incident that did not lead to an arrest and was involuntarily committed for a 72-hour mental health examination the following year. But yeah, he used 2 guns in the shooting, a Glock handgun and an AR.
Again,
here she back.
Again, it goes back to the parents. You know what I'm saying? So this is where when we were talking about you can't fault nobody but the parents, because my thing is if you have this young black woman who has been given 6 years because your young black son took a gun to school, but this white woman who drove her young white son across different states to go kill other people and she's still free, I got a problem with that. So again, it goes back to the to how the child was reared and how he was reared. You know your child was a fuck up. You already know that. It wasn't no you just woke up and oh my God, this just happened. You already knew because
Mhm.
as the old adage goes, a mother knows. You know what I'm saying? A mother knows her child. And so all that hate and all that stuff that you spewed and that you put into your child when you were raising that child, he's just putting out, giving that energy that you put into him. So yes, it goes back to how he was raised by his white mama and his white daddy. So that's where he get it from, because hatred is a learned behavior. Hatred is not, you're not born hating nobody. You're taught. So they taught him to hate. They taught him to do these things. And then when it came out to the public, oh, I want to warn them. But you warned after the shooting started? Come on now, please. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
that makes a lot of sense.
To
Yeah,
the
they should have warned them a lot earlier, and I agree with you. And definitely that notion of hatred. I think I've told y'all, I definitely have said it on this network, and y'all might find it funny. It's like y'all tease me about being as light and bright as I am and everything. But I did go to the Malcolm X school here in Durham, North Carolina, and I think Dad still has a copy of the Kill Whitey poem that I wrote when I was like 6 or 7,
Oh.
because I literally wrote a poem. But I think that Dad is convinced he's going to use that as a form of blackmail should I ever find Miss Wright and everything. So he'll probably bring it out just to blackmail me and all along those lines, because we do know how parents can keep evidence that whenever they want to bring it out and all in that space. Even though it was just to bring down a friend, I'm sure that Jim Lee would probably pull it out if Ida and Miss Dr. Anthony came to visit Mark and be like, "Oh, so you think Mark's really cool? Let me just show you this little bit of a right that he did when he was like 9 years old," and all along those lines and everything in that space, just to let y'all know. But yeah, the point was still floating there. I think it's in Dad's property and all along those lines. But it's probably back in his file cabinet. The last thing, I know we're winding down, but I was going to get to when we were talking about Dion and everything. Maybe we can save this for when your relationship person comes on and everything. But I was just wondering, how much of a responsibility do people have to let folks know about the other kids in relationships? Because that's part of what came up as well, is that Dion was, he had a bunch of baby mamas and he had a bunch of children by other women as well. And I'm sure Tracy probably has kids as well. But, I've dealt with that. I've definitely dealt with relationship where I would almost be like not just the ready-made family, but even the ready-made grand families if the relationships had continued the way that they might have gone. But I'm like, that was too much for me. I'm sorry. That's just a little bit too much for me to be dealing with it all along those lines. There are some other people that are more stronger than I am that can have all of that, but that might have been a little bit too much for me.
Mhm.
I mean, I think it's very important. I mean, if you out there being a gigolo and you was a hoe before now and now you want to settle down, my thing is, you need to tell people how many kids you got, how many baby daddies you got, how many baby mamas you got, because some people don't want to deal with the foolishness, like me. I don't want to deal with no crazy ass baby mama, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not going to deal with it, so I think that's very important inside of, a relationship. You need to tell a person what they're getting into, and if that person wants to sign on to it, they need to know upfront. Don't just spring something on me, because you spring something on me, it ain't gonna be good for you or your baby or the baby mom, because I'm going off on everybody and I'm gonna leave your ass in the dust or whatever. So if it's anything that you want me to know, you need to tell me right off the break, because I don't take kind to like surprises and things like that or whatever. I don't do well with that. But you need to let people know where you're coming from, how many kids you have, how many different baby mamas, and if the female wants to take up on that role, or if the man wants to take up on that role, because I don't have to. I don't have biological children. I don't have to deal with yours, so you have to give me that option. Don't just assume, that I'm going to be, willing to do this. Because I had a man come to me like some years ago, and he still be calling me or whatever, trying to get me talking about, I want you to be the mother of my children. Who the fuck said I wanted to be the mother of your children? Who said I wanted children like that? You know what I'm saying? Who said I wanted to be tied down with you and your kids? So you can kick rocks. You know what I'm saying? So don't just look at me and be like, oh my God, you're so beautiful. You're this, you're that. I want you to do this. I want you to do that. Nah, Negro, I'm not doing none of that, because that's not what I want to do. So, when it comes to, like those relationships and, talking about what's going on, you need to let the person know up front, because that's just what it is. People need to know. You need to give people options. Don't make a decision for the person. Give a person an option. Ida.
Yeah,
Well, I agree with it. I think it brings us full circle with around the conversation of marriage. Things come as a package deal. And when I meet people and they say, well, that's the mother of my child, my baby mama, how they say that gives me an indication of how well they co-parent or how they deal with people in that relationship. And like you said, I think when people have been reckless with their ping ping or their vajayjay, um, it's unfortunate that they nullify the opportunity of finding ideal mate, because the more you get yourself together, I have an expression, please don't pass the trash. You know,
Mhm.
once you get yourself, you just I tell people I don't have the bandwidth, because see, that is Judge Wapner. I used to love Judge Judy, and she would talk about the role of a stepmother and stepfather. And she said, sir, that you created that child with that person shouldn't even have to have that much engagement with your child if you and that person are doing what you need to do. And she don't need to call her stepmother or the mother, that's my daddy wife and different stuff. And I think it can get complicated. And I think when we are younger, we are willing to bite off more than we can chew. And when we get to a certain station, like you say, oh no, I'm not biting on none of that. I'm not going to even, and it's not even about putting somebody in a friend zone. I think it's almost the the
Mm-hmm.
audacity that you want me to inherit something that you haven't corrected, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And I have dated, like you said, you and I have been in a situation. I have dated people at this point, once you're over 30, they have children. And I have dated some people I've never met their kids because I knew the relationship wasn't going anywhere. You don't need to let me meet your child. And and I have dated people that I broke up with them because I could tell they didn't care about their own children. And I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't going to have that bad label of, oh, after he married Miss Ida, he didn't want to have nothing to do with you. No, he didn't want to have nothing to do with them before he met me. And I'm not going to be a part of somebody taking some Xanax or Zoloft because their daddy treats me better. And so, like you said, that's why, when I check the marital status single, sometimes I say congratulations, Ida. Because I look back people I dated, and I think life is complicated. And I think Dr. We talked about zodiac and signs, but I think the more you know what you don't have to invite. Please don't pass the trash. Because I do see some of my friends now, they're unhappily married. They stay because financially it's cheaper to keep her. And they have never known happiness outside of a relationship. So they're afraid to be by themselves. People ask me, well, how is it? How do you like being single? I said, well, in my bed with a ceiling fan on, and some people look at being alone or not having children like I couldn't imagine life without her. But now they have a narrative that they actually had a TikTok go viral where people said they regretted having children. They regretted getting married. And I think we have fed into the propaganda or this Cinderella concept of what marriage is, what parenting is. And people now have this rude awakening that they can't undo.
Exactly. And with that being said, we have to end the show, and we'll pick up with it next week and continue our conversation surrounding
You'll be
relationships.
rested. You'll be rested.
Yes, I'll be rested and I'll be ready to go
Yeah,
off.
you'll
And
be rested. You'll be all full of
Virgos.
pep and everything. I do have to just tease you as you end and everything. Not everything that is astrological is totally correct. Because yes, us cancers, because I am a cancer, are very much homebodies to some degree, and we do enjoy homebody and all of that. But we're also supposed to be master cooks, and I am not a master cook. Even though maybe I'll develop that
Oh,
skill
look,
later
see,
and
I
everything.
just
So
got
some of those
excited.
Look,
things
you
are
can develop
not
that
necessarily.
skill. You can develop that skill. But anyways, the clock on the wall says that's all. So make sure you guys click, like, share. Let's get those numbers up so we can, move up the chain from in the top 5 to number 1. And with that being said, make sure you guys tune in next Monday. We're going to continue this conversation surrounding, families and information about, dating and relationships. And hopefully we'll have the sex coach on here next week and we can let's talk about sex, baby.
Oh,
Let's talk
wow.
about you and me. So just playing. But hopefully she'll be able to join us next week. She wasn't able to make the show tonight, but we're looking forward to having her next week, and we'll continue our conversations about these relationships and what needs to be said and not said, and move forward from there.
Sounds
So
good.
thank
So
you
we're
guys.
out of here.
Deuces.
Now,
What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome to the All Around. I'm your gracious host, Dr. Anthony. Please tune in on Mondays at 6 p.m. for your entertainment purposes. We will hit current topics, old topics, and everything else in between. Be there or be square. Deuces, my loves.